Thank you very much, Bishop. The Honorable Lawrence Karanja, the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Industrialization, Ambassador Peter Kaberia, Principal Secretary, State Department of Industrialization, our Group Chairman, Professor Isaac Macharia, Chairman of the Equity Group Holdings, Chairman of Equity Bank in Kenya, Ambassador Erastus Moincha, Thomas Ostros, who's online and is the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, who's joining us virtually from Luxembourg. His Excellency Balozi Simon Modu, I hope I pronounced that right, or Modu, the EU Ambassador to Kenya, Mrs. Catherine Collins, Head of the EIB Regional Representation Office, the entire respective delegation from the European Union, the delegation from European Investment Bank, the respective delegation from Self-Help Africa, Phyllis Wakiaga, who's our CEO of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Richard Ngatia, who's the Chamber President of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Victor Ogalo, who's from the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, heads the policy research there, Charles Waithaka, who's the board chairman of the Micro and Small Medium Enterprises Authority of the Government of Kenya, my colleagues from Equity Group, members of the Fourth Estate. Once again, good afternoon. My name is Polycarp Igate, and I'll play the role of Master of Ceremonies today. Without wasting any more time, we would like to go to our opening remarks. And our opening remarks this afternoon are going to be done by our team leader, our group executive officer, Dr. James Mwangi. Let's give him a hand as he comes to the podium.
Thank you very much, Polycarp, for accepting to moderate today's session. I hope I can only match you with energy. Honorable Lawrence Karanja, our Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development, Ambassador Peter Kaberia, Principal Secretary, State Department for Industrialization, Mr. Thomas Ostros, the Vice President, European Investment Bank, joining us virtually from Luxembourg, His Excellency Ambassador Simon Modu, EU Ambassador to Kenya, Mrs. Catherine Collins, Head of EIB Regional Representation, and the entire representative team and delegation from European Investment Bank and European Union. Our chairman, Professor Macharia, for the group, and chairman for Kenya, Ambassador Erastus Moincha. Our partners, Kenya Private Sector Alliance, Kenya Association of Manufacturers, Gatia National Chamber of Commerce, chairman for Association of Microfinance Institutions. It's really a great honor to host you today. And truly, it's a magical day that on the same day that Kenya receives its first tranche of 1 million vaccines, giving us the greatest sign that we'll now have control of COVID-19 and we'll be able to get back our lives. And on the same day, we, together with the Kenya government and our long-standing partners, European Investment Bank and European Union, co-represented by Commissioner today, launch a significant part of a stimulus to get back our small and medium enterprises back to work. Hope of a vaccine was not enough. We need now to rebuild our lives and livelihoods and build better than pre the vaccine. And for the SMEs that has been out of business for approximately a year, because we shut down our economy in March last year, and we are now in March, working capital has been depleted. And we thought as a bank that has 72% of its entire loan book in the SME segment, that it was important for us to lead, stimulate that sector by creating a stimulus package of about 75 billion shillings to get it back on its feet so that it can provide for livelihoods, it can provide employment opportunity for our young people, and it can provide markets for our goods and services. And so part of that project is what we are signing today, a loan facility of 16.5 billion shillings granted to us by European Investment Bank, supported by European Union, and supported by a grant of 2.6 billion shillings to de-risk the micro enterprises by building their capacity so that they can also be able to borrow at the same rates like the large SMEs. So essentially by de-risking them through capacity training, we'll then be able, with that reduced risk, be able to provide the credit at an affordable rate of 13% that ensures that we stimulate the economy and that we leave nobody behind, because all dreams, whether of the small micro enterprises, of the medium enterprises, or the large enterprises, are valid and support livelihood and provide jobs. And irrespective of where the jobs are being created from, those jobs are needed so that we can quickly rebuild our lives as a community. I want to take this early opportunity, Lide, to thank European Investment Bank, today represented by the head of regional representation for East Africa, Catherine Collins, for our very long-standing relationship that started in 2002. When the European Union, European Investment Bank, gave us a loan of $70 million. And since then, the relationship has built, and we are grateful that it's through that linkage on proven track record by Equity that European Investment Bank's partners, DG, Proparco, African Development Bank, and IFC have teamed up together to ensure we are able to create a stimulus for the SMEs of up to 75 billion shillings so that the economy can quickly build back. So that trust, Collins, will forever be grateful. And we are really glad that your colleagues in Luxembourg are with us today and can witness how that commitment is appreciated by the fact that we have two representatives of government, the Chief Administrative Secretary in charge of industrialization in this country, and also the Principal Secretary, the Accounting Officer for the Ministry of Industrialization, Trade, and Enterprise. And so specifically enterprise, because today we are talking about that enterprise. We want to thank the government for its commitment. But this talks about the role of Equity Bank. When COVID hit us in April, we announced a $17 million facility, 300 that went to support our scholars to remain in school, and to make sure that we didn't lose any of the wings to fly 26,000 kids. And we gave them an allowance of 3,000 shillings every month in exchange of them remaining in school. We gave them a radio, we gave them a charger, and we gave them a solar light and a solar charger so that they could continue to remain in school. Then we gave the rest to protect our doctors. And I want to really thank our colleagues, the Kenya private sector team, that together we constitute the COVID fund, and I'm glad my colleague Phyllis on the board, Phyllis is here. And us as Equity Group, we are very excited that this 14 million US dollars we put to that fund has not only helped us to protect our medical frontline staff, but has helped us to repurpose our manufacturing sector to produce PPEs in the country and retain the jobs of all the staff who had been retrenched, and in addition recruited an additional 3,800 jobs. And the fact that now Kenya is a major exporter of PPEs talks a lot about the resilience. And my colleagues here, Phyllis from the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, my friend Gatia, the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, my colleagues were the Lockbed of Equity, a chairman of the SMEs. We couldn't have really teamed up together for a better cause. And when the history is written, we'll say we played our part. But the most significant step is what we are launching today. Again, teaming up together and saying we have seen an end of COVID or mitigation and containment of COVID-19 on site using the vaccine, which first dispatch arrived in Kenya today, and now launch a 75 billion stimulus to get our micro, small, and medium enterprises going out by signing up these 125 million euro or equivalent to 16.5 billion Kenya shillings to get our people back to work, get our markets back, because SMEs will have to buy from our people. They will have to get our people back to work. And so we are very, very excited. Let me close by saying that Kenya has been projected to grow at nearly 6% this year. That would never have happened without us pushing a lot of oxygen in the private sector. As a result of COVID and of course interest capping, private sector credit as a proportion of GDP has decreased from 40% to 27%. And for us to get back the economy back to where it was, we must get private sector credit back to 40% of the GDP. So this facility, Ambassador, could never have come at a better point than now, because it will act as a catalyst to the sector, it will act as a stimulus to the sector, and we shall see the 2 million jobs that have been lost quickly regained because credit is available. A 1-year break with businesses being closed meant that the working capital has been consumed in sustaining lives. And it's important that, and I call on my colleagues in the banking industry, we embrace this effort so that we can build Kenya better than it was, a more equitable country, better distribution of opportunities. And we can only do that by partnering the way we are partnering to ensure nobody is left behind and all are engaged in the economic activities of rebuilding this country. Let me close by thanking MasterCard Foundation, which in its own way has partnered also with us and said with a stimulus of this magnitude, we can bring in a 10 billion shillings capacity building facility to ensure everybody's capacity is built through business development services, whether it's training, whether it's entrepreneurship, hand-holding, whether it's mentoring and coaching, so that this amount of money, or 75 billion, then can have the impact that is desired. So with that, the objective of what we have now called Young Africa Works with MasterCard Foundation and Kenya government will be able for sure to create 5 million jobs for young people and women in the next 5 years, built by entrepreneurs who will be receiving this facility at affordable rate because of the de-risking of the 250 million US dollar credit enhancement guarantees that ensures that we are able to let everybody without leaving anybody behind. With those many remarks, allow me to take this opportunity to ask our colleague, Ms. Thomas Ostro, Vice President, European Investment Bank, to join us virtually from Luxembourg and speak to us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mwangi. Very good to see you. I wish we were able to be there, but I have greetings from Luxembourg. Good afternoon, Ambassador Mordieu, government representatives, ladies and gentlemen. Very good to see you. As Vice President of the European Investment Bank with responsibility for lending operations in East Africa and development policy, it gives me great pleasure to participate in today's historic announcement. Over the last 50 years, the European Investment Bank has supported transformational investments across Africa. Last year, in 2020, the EIB provided over 4.7 billion for transformational private and public investment across Africa. This represents our largest ever annual engagement on the continent, and it was a 50% increase compared to 2019. This demonstrates the counter-cyclical response of the EIB during the unprecedented health, social, and economically challenging times. As the EU bank and as part of Team Europe, the EIB stood side by side with Africa at this time of need, and this solidarity continues today through its lending teams and 9 offices across the African continent. However, Europe, Africa, and the world have changed during 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic has devastated business activity, trade and tourism, and damaged business confidence and investments. EIB colleagues and partners in Africa and Europe have worked tirelessly over recent months to tackle this investment gap that threatens jobs and risk setting back social and economic development progress over recent decades. It is therefore a great pleasure for me to be able to join today's historic launch of the European Investment Bank's first dedicated support to strengthen private sector resilience to COVID-19 in Kenya, in cooperation with our long-standing partners at Equity Bank. Today's agreement also demonstrates the commitment of Team Europe to Kenya and to Africa. The impact of both initiatives is strengthened by the combined development, technical and financial expertise of the European Investment Bank and the European Commission. In particular, our teams led by Catherine Collin and Ambassador Mordieu working together in the same building in Nairobi. I'm pleased to confirm that the European Investment Bank will provide a total of 100 million euros of new financing to strengthen access to finance by business across Kenya, alongside 30 million euro from the European Union through the Africa Investment Platform. The new cooperation with Equity Bank will ensure that entrepreneurs and smallholders can continue to invest, create jobs, and harness new business opportunities during very challenging times. This includes 75 million euro support for the Kenya Team Europe COVID-19 response access to finance schemes. Kenyan small business will be able to access the new finance in Kenyan shillings in more than 190 Equity Bank branches across the country. The impact of the EIB loan will be further enhanced by grant support from the European Union budget that will allow even more businesses to benefit. Last year, the EIB group provided financing to more than 425,000 small businesses across Africa and around the world in cooperation with leading local financial institutions. The new financing provided through Equity Bank reflects the additional pressures facing business and includes the possibility of providing both working capital and longer-term loans. The EIB will also strengthen our long-standing support for agriculture in Kenya through an additional 25 million euro targeted financing under the Kenya Agriculture Value Chain Facility. As all Kenyans here today know very well, agriculture is key for the Kenyan economy, and agricultural business impacts economic and social life across Kenya. More than 51% of Kenyan GDP and nearly 2/3 of jobs are directly or indirectly dependent on agriculture. However, agriculture in Kenya is held back by limited access to long-term financing for the broad agricultural value chain. The new 25 million euro of EIB backing agreed today will help to address this investment gap and mobilize 50 million euros of new investments for smallholders, farmers, and agricultural companies across Kenya. This will enable increased access to long-term local currency financing, which is key for the agricultural sector, and even more so during turbulent economic times. The EIB recognizes the importance of ensuring that private sector financing leaves a lasting legacy and unlocks sustainable economic and social development. In recent years, the EIB has ensured that 40,000 entrepreneurs and banking professionals across East Africa benefit from dedicated business management, banking risk management, and specialized technical assistance. The impact of new business and agricultural financing being agreed today will be further strengthened by dedicated technical assistance that improve business skills, share agricultural supply chain investment best practice, and foster even better banking skills. I'm pleased that thanks to the hard work and detailed preparations of the recent months, the new financing is available from Equity Bank from today. James Mwangi will be able to highlight more details of this during the day, but allow me to express my gratitude to all those whose hard work and dedication have made today's first step possible. The government of Kenya is a key partner for the EIB and for the European Union, and they fully supported the development and finalization of these new initiatives. I also wish to thank Equity Bank for their continued close partnership with the EIB financing, project appraisal and legal teams, and the European Union delegation in Nairobi for their teamwork and delivering a shared goal of strengthening Kenya's private sector during this time of need. Thank you for your attention. I wish you a good meeting. Thank you very much.
Round of applause. Thank you very much, Thomas, all the way from Luxembourg, for your wonderful remarks. The next 5 minutes, we are now going to move to the signing of the facility for our Group Chief Executive Officer, Dr. James Mwangi, together with Mr. Thomas Ostros. It will be witnessed by Balozi Simon Moju and Kenya government, who are present here today through the presence of the CAS and the PS from the Ministry of Industrialization. With kind permission, I'm going to invite our Group Executive Director, Madam Mary Wamait, so that we can move to the presentation to approach the front desk so that the signing can now take place. Thank you. And as Mary goes to the podium, would like to repeat and say this is 16.5 billion shillings of funding on top of the 1 trillion already that is sitting on Equity Group's balance sheet to be released to small, medium enterprises across the country. And therefore, members of the Equity Group team who are present here today can feel that they are commissioned to go and call upon all small, medium enterprises, we in the chamber, we in the Association of Manufacturers, we in MSEA, to then get these businesses to come. I'll keep quiet for a bit as that takes place. Thank you very much. First round of signatures is through. Thank you. It's now going to be witnessed by our Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Industrialization, the Honorable Lawrence Karanja. Thank you for doing that. So, asante sana, Honorable CAS. Thank you very much, Dr. James Mwangi, and thank you very much, Balozi Simon Modu, witnessing, and also Thomas Ostros from the EIB, European Investment Bank, Vice President. So please be upstanding. Let's give them a round of applause as they exchange the instruments. With that agreement, we capture the spirit of commitment by Team Europe to Kenya's private sector. Let's give Team Europe a big round of applause. Asante sana. I'm hoping that, can we please be seated so that the fourth estate at the back, please do it again. Now, the rest of us can all sit down. And now, for those of us sitting down, you can now clap once more. Thank you very much. The commitment of Team Europe to Kenya's private sector. Okay. Okay, so give me the cue. All right. I'm watching the director at the back, our fourth estate. They are going to redo it again.
Okay.
For the wonderful cameraman, you can also go to the side so that the other cameras can get. Thank you. Asante sana. Thank you. And thank you very much to the happy souls for keeping the smile going. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. We are absolutely delighted. Oh, okay. Once again, Dr. James Mwangi, the Group Managing Director at Equity Group, is next showing the witness with the government of Kenya by Katibu Kaberia and our CAS, Lawrence Karanja. So that we can move along quickly, I'm now going to invite Catherine Collin, the head of the regional representation for East Africa from the European Investment Bank, to make her remarks. Please give her a round of applause as she comes to the podium.
Many thanks, Polycarp. Good afternoon, Professor Macharia, Vice President Ostros, who unfortunately had to leave us virtually, Ambassador Peter Kaberia, PS, CS, Karanja, Simon, my good friend, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So as the EIB regional representative for East Africa and the head of our Nairobi office, it's a very great pleasure to be joining you today to confirm Team Europe's and the European Investment Bank's support to enhance access to long-term financing by business and agriculture across Kenya And this we are doing it with our long-standing partner, Equity Bank. And I'm also even more happy that I'm bringing a bit of gender balance on the front stage of this event. The partnership between Kenya and the EIB spans more than 45 years and secured long-term investments that has helped improve lives and increase economic opportunity across this beautiful country. In recent years, the EIB has worked with private and public partners across Kenya to harness renewable energy alongside Lake Turkana and in the Rift Valley at Olkaria, among others, improve access to clean water around Lake Victoria, and overcome transport bottlenecks at the port of Mombasa. The EIB is committed to supporting private sector investment in Kenya and works with leading Kenyan banks, financial institutions, venture capital, and corporate partners to provide high impact and targeted financing to help entrepreneurs, smallholders, and business grow. Over the last decades, the EIB has worked with 17 Kenyan banks, among which Equity, of course, and financial partners to design and roll out credit lines and financing programs that successfully addressed investment gaps and ensure that the Kenyan private sector can harness new business opportunities and grow. This strong focus on supporting private sector investment has been enhanced by technical assistance and sharing of best practice. This has allowed the EIB and the European Union to provide business management and financial skills training to more than 40,000 entrepreneurs. A similar number of Kenyan financial professionals have benefited from workshops to further strengthen expertise in risk management, climate action, and banking best practice. As the EU bank and as part of Team Europe, the EIB has stood side by side with Kenya and Africa at this time of need, and this solidarity continues today. Within weeks of the COVID pandemic being declared, the EIB launched an unprecedented support package that included scaling up existing financing and rapidly agreeing new support. The EIB's lending teams and 9 offices across Africa reached out to hundreds of clients to see how we could help, what forms of additional support were needed, and what new initiatives would strengthen public health and economic resilience. Kenya was no exception to the rule, as my team and myself here in Nairobi continue to work around the clock together with our colleagues in the European Union delegation and Kenyan partners like Equity Bank to deliver and strengthen our joint support for private sector investment under the new COVID-19 related challenges. Also, the EIB has been at the forefront of Team Europe's public health rapid response to COVID-19 through support for the first safe COVID-19 vaccine developed by BioNTech Pfizer, as well as our 400 million backing for COVAX together with the European Union. So it was with an immense pride that I could see last night the images of the arrival of the first COVID-19 vaccine here in East Africa at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. And this was only weeks after the EIB backed COVAX through our largest ever support for health investments outside Europe. Ensuring access to finance is key for sustainable economic growth in Kenya, and even more so given the public health, economic, trade, and tourism challenges of COVID-19 and its impact on business confidence and society. The financial support being formally signed with Equity Bank today represent best practice examples of private sector financing. The 100 million euro new EIB support will ensure access to finance, including long-term financing in Kenyan shillings, as well as working capital financing. This will provide timely additional financing for smallholders, farmers, agriculture companies, and as well as companies in other sectors across Kenya, and will help these companies to modernize, target new markets, and improve production. This cooperation is, as mentioned earlier, is backed not only by the EIB, but also by the European Union. And the grant support from the European Union will scale up and increase the economic and social impact of both business and agriculture elements. And it will ensure that technical assistance can contribute to a more sustainable future and lasting impact of the new financing. Please allow me to take this opportunity to thank all those who have made today's agreement possible. James and his colleagues across Equity Bank in Nairobi and their 190 branches across the country, who will be key in delivering on these new financing. Of course, Ambassador Simon Mordew, whose colleagues in Nairobi and Brussels have worked tirelessly to ensure that Team Europe rapidly and effectively responds to the new economic and business challenges caused by COVID. And the EIB team, including Nicolas Nzioka and Miriam Jari, who are here today with us, as well as, of course, the financial, legal, and technical experts in Luxembourg. Our support will allow thousands of Kenyans to benefit from new investment by entrepreneurs, smallholder, and business, and follow past EIB-backed investments in Kenya that have benefited millions. So I thank you very much for your attention. I thank all the colleagues around here, and I will be happy to take any question you may have later. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Madame Catherine Collins for those wonderful remarks. It's now the turn of Ambassador Simon Mordew from the European Union to make his remarks. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Chief Administrative Secretary, PS, CEO, Mr. Mwangi, Chairman of the Board, members of the Board, distinguished guests. It's about 1 year since the first COVID-19 case was detected in Kenya. And I think we're all very conscious of the detrimental impacts the pandemic has had on the country, both in health terms, but also in socio-economic terms. And I want to just take a moment also to recognize and commend the remarkable efforts by the government, who I think have been very responsible, taken immediate measures to curb the spread of COVID-19, and I think rather successfully navigated this path between protecting the health of Kenyan citizens and trying nevertheless to mitigate some of the worst impacts of, on the economy. But nevertheless, despite these efforts, I think we all have to recognize that a number of jobs have been lost, and this has had quite a significant socio-economic impact. I mean, there are various estimates out there, but there are certainly estimates which we believe correct that suggest probably something like 1.5 million Kenyans have lost their employment, both in the formal and informal sector. On the side of the European Union, this was one of the reasons why we tried, in a very practical way, to demonstrate commitment, support, and friendship to Kenya through the rapid mobilization of resources to not only combat the health impact of COVID-19, but also to try and provide support that could make a real tangible difference to the Kenyan population. So we had a fairly significant and comprehensive package of interventions in health and social protection, safe trade, budget support, access to finance for SMEs. It included innovative measures. One thing that I was really proud of was the work we did in getting to 80,000 individual Kenyans in the informal settlements, monthly cash transfers via M-Pesa to provide them a lifeline in these difficult moments. And working hand in hand with all of our member states, hand in hand with our partners and friends, the European Investment Bank, we managed to mobilize some 300 million euros, that's around 40 billion Kenyan shillings. And having visited some of our response projects in several counties, not only Nairobi, but Kisumu, Kajiado, I've been able to see the work that some of our partners like AMREF, the Kenyan Red Cross, Trademark East Africa, or Oxfam Kenya have been making, and also how quickly they were able to start up their projects. And as James said earlier in his intervention, I don't think we could in some ways have chosen a more auspicious day to launch this very significant socio-economic package. I say that not just because the sun is shining and the clouds of yesterday morning have left, but actually early hours of this morning, we saw the delivery of over 1 million vaccines, which, if you like, will give the support and the confidence to the citizens that perhaps the light at the end of the tunnel is now ahead of us. And as Catherine said, I think on the side of the European Union, we've been very proud to provide huge support to this COVAX facility with something of around 2 billion euro provided by the European Union and its member states in grant funding to allow access to vaccines in 92 of the least developed countries around the world. Because let's be clear about this, globally, we will only exit this pandemic together. There is no place for vaccine nationalism here. But today, I think what we're doing in a way is injecting a vaccine or a stimulus into the Kenyan economy with tried and trusted partners that we know can deliver. And this is what today is all about. Together with Team Europe, so the European Union member states, EIB and Equity Bank, we're launching a dedicated support line to really help the backbone of the Kenyan economy, the small and medium-sized enterprises themselves be able to recover from the challenges they faced during the COVID pandemic. So what we're doing here as well is we're linking the development grant funding with a loan package to leverage the impact of cooperation funds and really make a tangible difference. And as the PS from Treasury will know better than anybody else, what's also remarkable about this package is in a tight fiscal space, we're doing this without any sovereign guarantee, and we're doing this on the basis of we know that Equity Bank can make a difference and our grant can absorb some of the risks in the place of that sovereign guarantee. So this is not contributing €1 to the sovereign debt of Kenya, and that's an important element, I think. Now, why is this important? Because I think this is a new, innovative way of working. We're trying to use the grant funding to blend with loans or equity from public and private financiers and get it to those actors in the economy that create the jobs. This is not the public administration, much as we like to credit our innovation, our inventiveness. This is the private sector. And this is going to make a real difference, because in total, the 20 million grant combined with the loans from the EIB will make available some 120 million euros to go straight into the economy to create jobs. And this, we're talking about in total just under 16 billion Kenyan shillings in loans to the SMEs. So I think this is a hugely important way of working, and one which we want to replicate as we look at more innovative ways of how to use EU development financing in the future. But in addition to this, what I would describe direct COVID-19 response, we're also today announcing the second tranche of an ongoing blending operation. So again, the same principle, using grants to leverage loans from the European Investment Bank. And again, it's with the same partners, which will support agribusinesses more directly in Kenya through the Agrify Kenya project. And this is a facility which is complementary as well to the Challenge Fund, which is managed by Self-Help Africa, and which aims to get into the agricultural sector commercial loans at beneficial conditions to agribusinesses and support as well the rise up the value chain of the agricultural industry here in Kenya. And here, let me just say, for those of you who didn't pick up, it was a remarkable success this weekend that at the East African Community Summit, not only did Kenya take the Secretary General's post, not only did His Excellency President Kenyatta take over the chairmanship of the East African Community, but actually we saw in the summit conclusions language which will effectively unblock the economic partnership agreement between the European Union and the East African Community and allow Kenya to now move ahead with its implementation. And if you place what we're doing today, particularly on the agribusiness, in that context, this is going to inject capital to support the rise together with a fundamental simplification and change in the rules of origin that will make it much, much easier for all of the Kenyan value addition products in the agricultural sector to get onto the EU market with no tariffs. And that is what is going to create jobs, growth, prosperity in the long term. And if we look at the first examples we've seen of just some of the projects of the first tranche of Agrify, we've seen some fantastic examples. So far, the program has supported some 27 companies working with smallholder farmers, for example, in macadamia, mango, dairy production. And we've seen something like, with these 27 projects alone, over 30,000 smallholder farmers benefiting directly from this investment. We've seen 24,000 acres of farmland under smart, climate-proof, climate-smart agricultural practice, and we've seen huge numbers of jobs being created, full-time and part-time, in the companies concerned. So this is the way to go forward. And I wanted to end just by paying a particular tribute to both the staff of the European Investment Bank, who've been building this partnership with Equity Bank over many years, but in particular to Equity Bank and James, the CEO, because I think this visionary way of working shows what's possible as we move the partnership of the European Union and Kenya from a classical development partnership to one of mutual partnership, economic partners and strategic partners in a globally challenging environment. Thank you very much for what you've left behind with this project, showing the way forward also for the future. Thank you very much.
Wow, beautiful remarks. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much, Ambassador. What I hear you say is that not only did a vaccine land in our country last night, but we now have a vaccine for business. And the vaccine for business is called liquidity. Thank you so very much for those remarks. So that we can move along very well, I think you all are very aware that Equity Group Holdings or Equity Bank in Kenya is a regulated business. It's a regulated bank, and our regulator is present in the house today. They are represented by the government of Kenya, and I will be asking the voice of the shareholders. Our shareholders are very important to us. In addition to our customers, they are the next most important constituency after our customers. Our customers pay the shareholders, and we have two great representatives of our shareholders in-house today. And I would love to nominate our group chairman, Professor Macharia, to come and make some brief remarks and take the honor and responsibility of inviting the PS, who then invite the CAS, who's our chief guest, to say a few words. Please give Professor Isaac Macharia a big round of applause. Karibu Chair.
Thank you, Polycarp. Good afternoon. This afternoon, it's not my brief to make a speech. It's really my brief to do two very present duties. And the first duty is to welcome all our guests on behalf of the Equity Group Board to Equity Bank Kenya today, and to appreciate our partnership, not just with the European Investment Bank, the European Union, but also with the government of Kenya and with our local partners, KEPSA, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, the Board for Small Enterprises. And we look forward to this partnership, really doing what Polycarp has called delivering that vaccine for business. My second very present duty is to welcome Ambassador Kaberia, PS Department of Industrialization, so that he can welcome the CAS. Now, Ambassador Kaberia and CAS, again, on behalf of the Board of Equity Bank, we acknowledge and we appreciate the facilitative role that government is playing to enable private enterprise to thrive. So before I finish, may I just appreciate the chairman of Equity Bank Kenya, because it's under his leadership that the management of Equity Bank will deploy these resources. Ambassador Mwencha, just lift your hand. Thank you. So please welcome Ambassador Kaberia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. CAS and colleague, Honorable Karanja, Professor Macharia, Group Chair Equity, and through you, the Equity family that's here today. Thomas, the Vice President of the European Investment Bank, and through him, the rest of the community that has been quite important to making this day happen. Dr. James Mwangi, for your leadership in the bank and also within the private sector. My senior, Ambassador Mwancha, who has been a senior to me all through the diplomatic career. Ambassador Simon Moju and Catherine Collins. My colleagues in the industry, including the Chamber, CAM, and many others, good evening. I do not have much to say because I expect CAS to speak on behalf of government. But it is such a great and exciting moment for all of us who know what it means to have this kind of opportunity. And Equity Bank, we applaud you. The private sector and government are like Siamese twins. We are linked forever. Our success is your success, and what you do is what we hope we can do to support you and make you succeed. So as we appreciate this day and continue to celebrate the successes in many ways, and actually lighting out the torch for us in this dark tunnel after a year of COVID, I would like to say thank you from the side of government to all of you for the part you've played to keep us afloat as a country. That said, it is my pleasure to invite my colleague, my brother, and also my boss, CAS Honorable Karanja.
Thank you, Ambassador Kaberia, the Chairman, Equity Holding, Professor Macharia, Chairman, Equity Kenya, Ambassador Mwencha, Your Excellency, Ambassador Simon Mondu, the EU Ambassador to Kenya, the Vice President of European Investment Bank, who has joined us virtually, Mr. Thomas Ostro, and your team, including the head of Kenyan, that is the Kenyan area or and the East African region, Catherine Collins, Dr. James Mwangi, CEO, Equity Holdings, and your team, my colleague, Ambassador Kaberia, our colleague, Chairman, Chamber of Commerce, Richard Gatia, CEO, and our friend again, Feris Wakiaga, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. When you are given the honor of being the first person to speak, there is real risk of you losing the honor by saying nothing or by repeating what has already been said. Therefore, I have to be extremely cautious and very brief to ensure that I retain the honor I was given of being the last to address this group and this congregation. 1 year ago, that was last year, March, a season like this, if all of you remember, the world and especially our country was full of fear. We knew what was happening, and in the month of March, that is when the first case of COVID-19 in Kenya was reported. The world of business was full of anxiety, and there was real fear of imminent closures awesome business. And today, again in March, it is, I think by sheer coincidence, that we are meeting here today. First, as it has been said, the day as a country we received the first batch of COVID vaccine. And also we are meeting here to give our business community message of hope and what has been described as a vaccine of the economy. Therefore, we are here to launch what I believe will relaunch our economy. We have the vaccine, which will be distributed throughout the country, but we also have the facility which is being launched today, which once it is injected into our economy, you very well know the effect it will have, especially on the small and micro entrepreneurs. Why are we saying this? It's because if you know very well, over 90% of the Kenyan economy is controlled by small and micro entrepreneurs. In fact, that also contributes about 34% of our GDP. Therefore, this facility is going to affect about a section or sector which contributes to a third of our GDP. And if you are able to reignite that one third, I am sure in a short while, we'll be back where we were just before COVID-19. You all know what happened after the COVID or during the COVID or after the first cases were reported. The most hit sector has been the SME. Why? Most of their businesses were closed. A number of their employees lost their jobs, and getting back to business, even after we lifted a number of restrictions, has been a challenge. And the main challenge the sector has been facing is cash injection, and it's mainly related to their capital, working capital, support services, etc., etc. And when we hear that about 16 billion is being injected to that sector, that is in agro processing and other areas of SMEs, we get that assurance and that hope that, as I said, very soon our economy will be back. As a government, we developed, or we have already developed, the SME policy. It was adopted by the National Assembly last year, and it was given session paper number 5 of 2020. I know most of us who are here only know session paper number 10 of 1965 about African socialism. Kindly take time to go and look at session paper number 5 of 2020 on micro and small enterprise in Kenya and the plan which the government has for that area. And one of the plans of the government really lines with what we are doing today, because one of the plans of the government was to engage the private sector to see how they can bring affordable and affordable financial facilities to the SME sector. Because when we were doing the study and developing the SME, the main challenge we found is assessing credit by the SMEs. That is the greatest obstacle. That is the greatest obstacle they face. And I'm sure what Equity Bank and European Investment Bank are doing today, they have diagnosed where the problem is, and they have come with that medicine. It may not be a vaccine, it might be taken orally, it might be injected. I don't know how you'll do it, but I know Dr. and his team knows how to administer this medicine in the best way. For us, myself and Ambassador Kaberia, we want to assure you we shall facilitate, we shall give you, we shall accompany you as you look for these SMEs. Chairman Gatia, that's why he is here. He will tell you where they are. Phyllis will tell you where they are. And then we leave it to you to know how to administer this. And I want to continue thanking our partners in the private sector for the role they are playing in ensuring that our economy gets back to where it was before COVID and even better. We know that, and there's the assurance of the government that we shall work with you we shall facilitate your operations to ensure that you get the best environment to do your business, and also to get these small and micro entrepreneurs. And to confirm that circuit, that is why one of the chairman of our parastatus, Mr. Waithaka, is here dealing with the Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. He's here so that he can cooperate with you. You can be a liaison person and tell you, well, this is what we are doing. As a government, we also have developed what we are calling Biashara Center. And we are starting them in all areas of the country. The Biashara centers are supposed to be one-stop shop for the SMEs when they are getting, when they want to get whatever documents are required for them to do business, when they want to incorporate a company, where you want to get KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards certification, where you want to register your intellectual property, the KIPI, where you want to develop research through Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute. We have put them together so that we can try to incubate these SMEs. Therefore, we shall provide you with a link, or the ones who come to us for facilitation to get the registration and regulation, we shall also be linking them with you so that you can see what support you can give to them. Therefore, as a ministry, we would wish to congratulate the two institutions, that is Equity Bank, for their own facility that will go a long way in supporting SMEs. I would again say, quote from our national anthem, let all of us arise so that we can build our nation together. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Kenya. God bless Equity. God bless European Investment Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Lawrence Karanja, our CAS in the Ministry of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development. You have reminded us that we are only not working with the 1965 seminal paper called Sessional Paper number 10, that we have to go and read the brand new, fresh off the mint, Sessional Paper number 20, I think for the year 2020. So thank you very much for those remarks. Let's give him another round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming towards the end of our event today, but we will be amiss if we do not invite the representatives of the people who will benefit from the loans that will be going out. As a Group Chief Commercial Officer of Equity Bank, I shall be working very closely with them and their institutions to make sure that truly this 16.5 billion shillings is disbursed. Our glass is charged. And when you charge a glass, it needs to be drunk. And the cup it shall be drunk from is a cup called members of the National Chamber of Commerce, members of the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, and members of the Micro Small Enterprises Authority of this country. May I ask all the three representatives to please come. Phyllis, Mr. Waithaka, Chair, karibuni hapa. I would like you to give a vote of thanks to Team Europe, to European Investment Bank, and also to encourage me to come with a lot of forms so that we can give these loans across our 186 branches, 40,000 agents, 786 ATMs. So let's give them a round of applause as they give a vote of thanks together with me. Phyllis, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much. That was a very good ambush, but I think a necessary one, because without the private sector to absorb these funds, I don't know who will get them. So I want to really, first of all, appreciate the government present. Ambassador, welcome to the ministry. We've been working closely when you were at mining. CAS for all the work and the partnership. I want to recognize the European Investment Bank. Thank you very much for this shot. This vaccine to the private sector. The European Union Ambassador also, thank you very much. Chairman Macharia, Chairman Kenya Equity, thank you, and all of you. On behalf of the manufacturing sector, I just want to mention that COVID-19 had negative impacts on the economy, but in the same breath, we tried to ensure that as much as possible, we kept Kenya moving. And as the local manufacturing sector, I think all of you can attest to the fact that despite the fact that in March last year at this time, you are rushing to buy tissue and stock your houses, We ensured that you had products throughout the period, and the Competition Authority has been quite clear in saying that we also ensured that the prices did not rise unreasonably during the same period. We also rose to the occasion and were able to manufacture personal protective equipment, hygiene products, sanitizers, and many other things. So we are very energized by this new shot of energy, because one of the challenges we had was that the SMEs really suffered last year. We had a number of them who closed down, a number of them who had to lay off employees. And one of the things we talked about a lot when we carried out our sustainability and resilience report was the need for a credit guarantee scheme and a scheme to support SMEs. So today I must say that on behalf of the Association of Manufacturers, we are extremely delighted and we really appreciate the partners who have come together to make this happen. We will be reaching out to Equity through our former chairman, Polycarp Igathe, to see how we can support the SME Hub. At the Association of Manufacturers, we run an SME Hub for manufacturing SMEs where we run business development programs, and we have worked very closely with Equity. And I want to say something very personal about Equity. Equity walks the talk. Last year, we had a session with Equity Bank for SMEs. And in that session, we had a number of SMEs manufacturing different products. And Equity said, can you come and display your products? And they ensured that the Christmas package that they gave up was made up of products from those SMEs. So I think you deserve a round of applause as Equity, not just for being a bank that supports SMEs, but for really walking the talk, being practical in your approach and supporting businesses. The second thing I'll talk about is the work around the PPEs. Through the Equity Group Foundation, last year we were able to build capacity of the manufacturing sector to manufacture PPEs during a very difficult time. And that would not have been possible without the support that came through the Equity Group Foundation and the COVID Fund to make it happen. And the third one, I want to congratulate you. Today morning, I attended a very interesting breakfast where BDS and Ipsos were releasing a survey on their 100 most loved brands by women. No one has carried out a survey like that to try and understand what does the woman consumer want. And Equity was the #1 bank, the most loved bank by women in Kenya. And they said it's because of your impact in society. So congratulations and thank you all. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Polycarp Igathe. Your Excellency, Catherine, Your Excellency, Simon Modiu, Dr. James Mwangi, the CAS, Lawrence, and Ambassador Kaberia, distinguished guests, members of the Fourth Estate. Let me say today that it's a great, exciting day for not only me, but the members that we represent. Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry right now has a membership of 16.8 million, who include associations like the Jua Kali sector. And of course, we do have direct members and now hitting at 40,000. And I want to say today, the message that will go to them is how the support they're going to receive from Equity Bank through the support of European Investment Bank. And therefore today, for me, I want to congratulate you. I want to thank you for coming to our support. It has been a long journey for us, the private sector, since the pandemic. And we have seen private sector re-engineering their businesses. But at the same time, we have seen a lot of support from development partners. We have seen a lot of support from financial institutions. And I want also to take this opportunity to thank Simon Modiu, who since the last time he visited my office, we saw a difference and we saw a change in different counties that he visited, and sensitizing our members on value addition and also value chain. So in terms of agribusiness, I think this is the right step, Your Excellencies, you've taken to support us and to support our members. But it does not stop there. We as the chamber, we are committing that the moment they receive the finances and the credit, we shall support them with opportunities and of course the market linkages. I want to support Equity Group through Dr. James Mwangi, because of the support they have accorded the Kenya National Chamber. They had put aside 200 billion to support the SMEs. And I must say that 32,000 members of the chamber have benefited from capacity building, which included financial literacy, which included financial inclusion, financial management and risk. And I can say that we have been able now to prepare them to access the credit, and the 16.5 billion that has been offered today, I believe our members will have an easy time to access that market. Lawrence, again, I want to thank you because you have been very, very supportive. We have worked with your ministry, not only in this country, but over other countries in the globe, looking for opportunities. And I want to say that this today is a day that we prepare ourselves for the African Continental Free Trade Area, and looking at the support we are getting from the European Investment Bank and the group, I believe this is a time that we shall hold a hand to make sure that we boost the economy and we revive the economy as well. Phyllis, you have said rightfully that yes, you have supported us in terms of making sure that our members can now manufacture. In fact, the Ministry of Health has supported us with 300 million Kenya shillings to support the fashion industry, to support tailors, local tailors in making reusable masks. That has been very successful, and they have already done that within the last 3 months. And that, again, is part of the stimulus package from the government to support the private sector. I want to thank Lawrence, Kaberia, my friend here, who has been very courageous with giving us a lot of advice on how we shall carry our business. And now that you're in the industry ministry, I believe we shall work together. Members of the Fourth Estate, please, we request that you support us, you support our members in making sure they get the right information to boost their business. With those few remarks, I want to congratulate Equity Bank and thank all of you and the organizers of this occasion. Asanteni, and may God bless you.
Good afternoon. Honorable Lawrence Karanja, Chief Administrative Secretary, Minister of Industrialization, Trade and Enterprise Development, Ambassador Peter Kaberia, Principal Secretary, State Department of Industrialization, Professor Peter Isaac Macharia, Chairman, Equity Group Holding, Ambassador Erastus Mwancha, Chairman, Equity Bank, and Dr. James Mwangi, Group Managing Director, and the CEO, Equity Group Holding, His Excellency Simon Modu, the EU Ambassador of Kenya, and Mrs. Catherine Corin, Head of EIB Regional Representation, and Bwana Igade, the CEO of the Equity Bank. I'm Charles Waithaka. I'm very delighted to be before you here. I'm the chairman of Micro and Small Enterprise Authority. Micro and Small Enterprise Authority is a state corporation established in the year 2012 with the purpose to promote, facilitate, and develop MSCs in Kenya, to regulate them and to improve their productivity, improve the quality and productivities of the SMEs in Kenya, as well as mapping the SMEs where they are. We are very grateful to be with Equity here. Equity was the first institution to come in our aid. When the COVID struck, the people who were hit most were the SMEs. SMEs contribute to that 3.3% of the GDP. However, they are shrouded with a lot of risk, and therefore they are not as bankable as other bigger ventures. But the Equity saw the opportunity in that, and they came and partnered with us, and we signed an MOU. And through that, all our SMEs Association in Kenya has been reached out through business development services by the Equity. They have been trained on financial literacy, and for now, some of them are even receiving the funds. We are very sure the fund that we are signing today is actually all what we needed. It's a game changer for the SMEs in the country. We know they are the worst hit. Some of these SMEs depend on businesses at night, and these businesses are crossed inter borders and borders like transactional borders are not taking place. For example, what I mean is that there's no movement at night. Some of these SMEs depend on transport sector that is heavily affected. And therefore, we are saying that this fund, it is custom made for the SMEs and is going to work to revive the SMEs that are worst hit, improve on the quality and the productivity of the SMEs, reach them out and offer them the cushion fund that will really help them move along the way. Therefore, Polycarp, I want to thank you very much. This is an ambush, but we are very happy to be with you here. We would want to work with the European Union. With CAM, we worked with very well. We worked well with chambers of commerce. What we are saying, our members, Equity has never let us down. Any product that comes from Equity has always mainly been centered to the SMEs. And therefore, I urge you, wherever you are, the association, come up, partner with the Equity Bank across, it is all over the country, across the counties. Visit the Equity Bank and you get information about this fund. Thank you very much.
Let's give them another round of applause. Equity, we never walk alone. So thank you very much for being present here today and for committing to joining me in being on the street to release these funds through Equity branches, through the Equity network, to micro, small, medium enterprises, wherever they are. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about 4:47 right now. We are progressing well on time. And at this juncture, I'd like to invite the media to field questions to the team. We will do that for just 10 minutes. If members of the fourth estate have specific questions, and then after that, we'll make some closing remarks. But before we make the closing remarks, and if members of the media, after you finish your questions, I will ask that we yet again take the photos. I'm told the quality of the photos need to be very good for the internet and for the country to see. So Madam Mary Wangari, thank you very much. So we'll be inviting some, so members of the media, if I could lead in the question and answers, please feel free. Who wants to go first? It looks like we were very crystal clear. If that is the case, then I'm going to ask Dr. Mwangi, Ambassador Modu, and Catherine Collins to please be upstanding and exchange the document so that the, oh, is there a question here? Oh, there you are. Okay, sorry. I went too quickly. Thank you, thank you. You can introduce yourself and ask a question.
Could you clarify what the terms are for, terms of interest rates for these loans, and what times you have to discuss them, and clarify? I see a lot of figures floating around, but the total amount that launched today is 75 billion. Thanks.
Thank you very much for an excellent question. As I said earlier on, and you had our colleagues from the European Union, they are calling themselves Team Europe. The effort to create a sufficient stimulus for this country required more than one institution. Equity could not do it on its own, government could not do it on its own. So at the apex, we combined between the Kenya government, Equity Bank, and MasterCard Foundation. And we said we'll create a stimulus that is big enough to get this economy back on its feet. The measure of success, and as Ambassador said, the number of lost jobs ranges from 1.5 to 2 million, depending on who you listen to. And we said we'll create 5 million jobs. And since the government and Equity cannot create those jobs, we felt the only way was to stimulate the private sector. That is the micro, small, medium enterprises, and corporates to ensure they become vibrant, resilient, and create those 5 million jobs. Then they said the only way, then we formed the partnerships with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, National Chamber of Commerce, the board of the micro and small enterprises. And they said the requisite item is credit. And as we observed, credit has fallen from being 40% of the GDP down to 27%. And that is the biggest challenge this economy has. And Equity said 72% of our lending is to micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we are well positioned. We have the capacity to be able to do that. But we felt we needed to really strengthen the bank to be able to do that. And we got a grant, again, from Rabobank, IFC, and KFW to build the capacity of the bank. And Polycarp has trained all our staff to be able to do to analyze the loans and to be able to advise the loan. MasterCard gave us 10 billion shillings, $100 million in terms of funding to do capacity building in SMEs. And in that, I don't know whether Anthony is with us and Jeremy, yes, you can start. Those two from the foundation and SMEs have trained 2.2 million entrepreneurs with financial literacy. And you heard Bwana Gatia said his association has 32,000 have been trained over the last 6 months. So we have trained the people, 2.2 million. That is with the support of MasterCard. And we said then people are ready. And with the head of COVID in sight because of the vaccine, then the next thing was how do we get credit? And Equity committed to release up to 4.2 billion US dollars. That's 400 billion shillings. But we needed to ensure that the customers who are high risk, that is the micro, are able to access this money. So beyond training, we decided to get a credit guarantee. And I want to thank our team led by Brent, David, why don't you start, and John Wilson, who negotiated for these guarantees and got us guarantees of about 35 billion shillings. That then allows us to provide credit to the micro and small enterprises who previously would have been classified as high risk. We can provide them with interest rate of 13, like the corporates, because their risk has been mitigated by the guarantee. The second thing was then to get the length of period for the loan to be prolonged. And since we had liquidity, I think as we speak today, we have invested 240 billion shillings in treasury bonds, which we are releasing to the private sector. We needed to prolong that period. And the only way to prolong that period of lending to up to 5 years was to get 7-year loans. And that is how European Investment Bank among Team Europe came forward. And Collins, Catherine talked about $100 million. I had talked about 125 million euros, simply because she gave me a fast dispatch of 25 million euros late last year to start the process. So I've already in the pocket with particularly the farmers, $25 million. So today, what is being released out of the 125 million equivalent, which is 16.5 billion, is $100 million. In addition to that, we needed more funds. And that is why I said that we got Propaco. And those who can remember, I accompanied the president when he was going to France, Paris, and I signed a $100 million facility witnessed by CS Industrialization, Betty Miner, Again, Propaco, that was 11 billion, that is already in the bank. IFC signed for us $50 million. That already has been received. That's 5.5 billion. We have signed up with African Development Bank. We are signing with German Development Bank, another 100 million each. And the last one is with African Guarantee Fund. And that is how we are adding up guarantees and loan book of 75 billion shillings to stimulate the entire economy. So the objective is to ensure we stimulate the entire economy, starting with the micro, because that's where the most important intervention is required, as the chairman of the board said, because they have already consumed their working capital. The period that the businesses have struggled has been long. A year is too long for working capital to remain instant. So we push money there, we push money to small, we push money to medium, then we come to the corporates. And most of it is to repurpose the businesses. And that's why we needed 5 years. So the short answer is maximum interest rate at the moment is 13%. Even for Mama Boga, even for all the micro and small enterprises, because we have a guarantee component for their risk. So we are bringing the equity really mantra of giving equal opportunities. We are equity, so we'll be fair and just to all. And whether big or small, we'll give them at 13% because of the guarantee component that it is. And then that 75 billion is loans. Equity, remember, we now have 1 trillion shillings in funding. So we are dedicating 400 billion to this project over a period of 5 years. We want to sustain it over a period of 5 years. MasterCard will sustain the guarantee for a period of 5 years. The guarantee, we have received today 2.6 billion shillings of capacity building grant. That is a grant. So it's a journey which have brought all. And locally then, all the associations of all those in the private sector in business are the channels who distribute. So for instance, it will be the responsibility of FIDIS to ensure the Association of Manufacturers, everybody knows. It's the responsibility of GATIA to know, to ensure the 16 million members of the National Chamber of Commerce get to know. And I think Duari has the biggest challenge of ensuring that 20 or 30 million micro enterprises get to know. And Polycarp has the entire bank trained. We've been trained by IFC, we've been trained by KFW, we've been trained about agriculture by Rabobank. So we are ready to process. And our team leader, Elizabeth, I don't know where Elizabeth is in, is helping us to digitize the entire process so that loans will be got from the phone. So, and we have increased our team of Reading, maybe the new team that has joined the bank on Reading, led by Sam, maybe why don't you start? So let me give them just 1 second to introduce themselves, because this is a very important plank for the success of this project. Let's start with Sam, their team leader. A Kenyan we had to get globally to come and lead this initiative. If there's another mic, it can be given to.
Thank you, James. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. My name is Sam Tukere. I joined Equity from Standard Chartered in South Africa. I was based in Johannesburg as Chief Risk Officer for Standard Chartered in South Africa. I have 40 years experience in the banking industry. I previously worked for Standard Chartered in Bangladesh as Chief Risk Officer. I have been a credit officer for 6 years in total. I was a credit officer in Kenya, in Bangladesh, and also in Dubai for Barclays Africa. I have been a corporate banking person, senior corporate banking relationship manager, and also acting corporate banking head for Barclays Bank in Kenya. And I have also worked in the distressed asset management part of the business, covering East Africa. I am a graduate of the University of Southern Queensland, and I hold a banking diploma from the Chartered Institute of Bankers. I have trained with INSEAD and the Gordon Institute of Business Science in Johannesburg, University of Pretoria. I'm very happy to be with Equity Bank to help lead the credit part of the business, to support everything that we've had today, to expand our lending to SMEs and to other segments that we support across the bank, to help realize their dreams, which, as our group CEO has said, are all valid, just like everybody else's dreams. And we, together with my team, will be providing tremendous support to this business. So thank you very much, our group CEO.
Good afternoon. Thank you, James, and good afternoon to all here. My name is Emmanuel Marquet. I'm from Ghana. I joined Equity Bank last year, August, from Saudi Arabia, where I was working with the largest Islamic bank, known as Arashi Bank, as the senior director that was responsible for the end-to-end credit management for the bank. I did that for 8.5 years, where we offered both conventional as well as Islamic products. Prior to that, I worked with Barclays Bank in Dubai, where I was managing 14 countries, end-to-end credit with some and few other colleagues that have also joined the bank. And prior to that, I was in Standard Chartered Bank, Nigeria, Standard Chartered Bank, Ghana, and then also a local bank in Ghana called Ghana Commercial Bank. And in terms of academics, I have a first degree in banking and finance at the University of Ghana, and I'm also a Chevening scholar, where I pursued my master's in finance in Strathclyde University in the UK. I've been in banking for 27 years, and this span frontline credit as well as project management. Thank you.
Mike.
Thank you very much, James, and all protocols observed. My name is Mike Sikazwe. I come from Zambia, and I joined Equity in December, so I'm 3 months plus old. And my area of specialty is on corporate credit. I've looked at extensive projects starting from project finance, energy, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. And then all the way down to the retail consumer loans. And then my background is mathematics and computer science with a blend of accounting and finance. And I'm not new to East Africa. I've worked in Uganda. I've also worked in Tanzania. Kenya is my third East African country. So I'm very excited to be part of the journey and look forward to contributing to Equity for the 18 years that I've been working in corporate credit. Thank you.
Thank you. Abu.
Thank you, James. Thank you, distinguished guests. It's an honor to join this exciting group indeed. My area is in risk management, and the experience is the past 21 years with the Ecobank Group. I'm from Niger, West Africa, Francophone. And in my previous years, I was privileged to serve in many different countries, Francophone alike. In the areas of risk management in Kenya for the past 7 years, almost managed a region of 3 clusters, including SADC and CEMAC, 18 countries, by way of credit approval, credit assessment, and ensuring capacity is there also.
I would like to finish by saying the excitement in joining this group is, I think, demonstrated today here by the trust of the European Investment Bank here, but in the general list of financial partners of trust and equity, definitely demonstrating that equity is doing something that is revolution and something that is commendable. I'm excited to join this group, and we heard the allocations. We know the work ahead, and there is a lot of to do. Therefore, we're rolling our sleeves. Believe me.
Clement. Thank you very much, James. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. My name is Clement Dodu. I'm also from Ghana. I've joined Equity since August last year. My background, quite varied in banking, from project management, risk management, general management. I've managed 2 subsidiaries in the past, and also commercial banking. In terms of my educational background, I hold a doctorate in business administration, 2 masters, one in business administration and one in applied business research, and a first degree in economics. I'm so excited to join the group at Equity Bank at this time. We know what has happened over the past, and we are part of the team to ensure that all these funds that are coming through are judiciously dispersed and make sure that the targets get it. Thank you very much.
Also, our partners, government, and our partners, European Investment Bank, you can see the preparedness. It was not just being trained ourselves, but it was to get the best skills, whether it's from Niger, whether it's from Ghana, whether it's Zimbabwe. We learned from what government did at independence. Teachers at Kagumo High School, we were being taught by Ugandans, we were being taught by Ghanaians. So we learned from that lesson and say, we'll get the best Africa has produced, bring them back, whether they are from Bangladesh or from Saudi Arabia, bring them back home, and let's get this economy learning properly. So I assure you, Catherine, that we'll disburse these stimulus responsibly and will train where necessary. So and I'm really glad you asked me that question, because you can see the preparedness. Also, Phyllis, if you thought Rafael Onyango and the colleagues were not very good for the manufacturing, as you can see, they have managed both Standard and Barclays, the entire of Africa, either from Dubai or from South Africa. So it can't get better than this. So we now have the capacity and the competence that we can't take a gamble on 400 billion shillings. We had to be responsible enough to ensure the skills came before. It's what they always say. If we really want to cut a tree for 9 hours, spend 6 hours preparing the saw and the axe, and then do the job in 3 hours. We have adequately and competently prepared. Thank you very much, Polycarp, for a great question.
You can feel the passion of our Group Chief Executive Officer. Let's give them a round of applause for that.
And I can also say, Shemeka, Kennedy Shemeka refused to raise. Shemeka, why don't you also say we also brought you from South Africa? Give him the mic.
Go ahead, Kennedy.
For trade finance, which is the most difficult challenge.
Thank you, Dr. James. As you've heard, my name is Kennedy Shemeka, 30 years experience in trade finance, currently leading the transformation journey on trade finance. I've worked in Kenya Commercial Bank, 12 years, Citibank, where I was the head of trade for Kenya and East Africa. I've also had a stint in London as the product manager at the Citibank before coming back to Kenya to head the trade finance business for Barclays Kenya. I was later promoted to be the head of trade for Barclays in Africa. So I was looking for the entire trade finance business for Africa before leaving in 2018 and doing consultancy. I've done various consultancies in trade finance with IFC and the World Bank, and I'm happy to be part of this team to lead in this journey.
Thank you, Dr. James. Thank you. Get here so you can see it's not just credit, but trade finance facilities, LCs, guarantees, whatever else, derivatives. Andrew, where are you? We have even got somebody from Dubai to come and do derivatives. So it's quite a very enhanced team. Thank you, Porika.
James, I know there's a gentleman from the media who, the last question, maybe go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Edward Ndungu from People Films Entertainment. And looking forward for the bigger strides, maybe you could help us understand the small scale business members and our customers. What are some of the factors that would render them inadequate or them not to access the funds easily? What are some of the factors that you can disqualify them and look into or as we prepare for the funds?
Let me say the barriers that have been addressed. There were many barriers that made Kenyans not access loans. The first one was security. And that is why we have now come together with the MasterCard Foundation and all the other guarantees come with a credit guarantee. We're also taking a credit drive just for the risk of loss of life of the borrower. Every personal loan will be supported by credit life so that in case of the unfortunate event happening, you don't have to follow the family. The second one is what we said, substituting securities with credit guarantees from our partners. And the third and most important thing is what we talked about, reducing those challenges that our micro enterprises have by building their capacity, what is called the business development services, to ensure they have understood borrowing, they have understood paying, they have understood business, they have understood cash flows, that it's cash flows that pay, and then transforming the bank from security-based lending to cash flow lending. That's why we had to go through that enormous training, all of us. And lastly is then partnering. What Equity can't lift alone, then we'll lift with the associations, we'll lift with our government, we'll lift with Team Europe, and we'll lift with Team Development Banks. So it's a concerted effort, believing that every hand must be on the deck so that we are also able to overcome those challenges. But maybe Polycarp, you are the man on the ground. You can complement the question.
Indeed, James, allow me to complement the question as I make the final closing remarks, James, so that we can have yourself, Ambassador Modu, and Catherine Collins to please be upstanding, and you can exchange the documents again for the media so that they can take the shot that they really wanted. Please be upstanding. I would ask the rest of the audience and distinguished guests to remain seated for a minute. Yeah. We will begin with Dr. Mwangi, the Ambassador Modu, and Catherine Collins. I will call upon you, Honorable CAS. I'll call upon you just now. Give them a round of applause as that takes place. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, members of the media. Thank you. Honorable CAS, please join the photo. Thank you very much. You can do, yeah, just the two of you. Yeah. Thank you. Please, members of the media, if you can take, and then the PS can join. Thank you. Go ahead. With your permission, CAS and Dr. James Mwangi, I'm going to invite the chairman of the group to also join and the chairman of Equity Bank Kenya to flank them. On behalf of the shareholder, please flank them on the side. Let's give them a round of applause as they take that photo. And our group executive director, Madam Mary Wangari, please give a round of applause as they take that photo. Thank you very much. I can see you have given me the thumbs up that the photos are good. Thank you. Please take a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now dispense of our day's program by giving very brief closing remarks and helping James giving color to that question which was answered before. Dr. James, when our colleagues who you saw standing up from the credit teams joined us recently, Honorable CAS and distinguished guests, when they joined us, when they came for induction, I had an opportunity to sit with them during induction. And to Ngatia and to Phyllis, they asked me, what is the biggest issue in Kenya today? And I obviously said it's COVID-19. And what is the issue with COVID-19? I say COVID-19, government has done its best, but we are told the mortality rate is not, we've been lucky with the mortality rate in terms of COVID-19, but the people who are dying are people with an underlying issue. But because I spend a lot of time in the market, I was told by our customers, the members of the chamber and the members of KM, that the biggest underlying issue in this country is being broke, especially a broke business. And can you please help us transfer the assets that are sitting in lending to government, the 240 billion shillings in treasury bills and bonds, can that now be transferred? And that is how we have been commissioned by our chairman of the board, transfer that to the market. And today you have seen Team Europe, the European Investment Bank and the European Union come together and give us the biggest oxygen cylinder of liquidity, because there's a mismatch in this country in terms of flow of goods and services and liquidity. So we have that oxygen cylinders, and our group chief executive officer has announced today that he has given me a briefcase of 400 billion shillings to dispense in the next 5 years. So I know my job. My job is to be there, and to dispense 400 billion shillings will take a Herculean effort. We have to continue partnering with the people who've been introduced here today, because the lungs of job creation will start to breathe. That is the message we'd like the PS to take back to the government of Kenya, that the lungs of job creation will start to breathe, because we shall inject the liquidity that is required. And let me give a big recognition and pay tribute, especially to the group office led by John Wilson, David Gata, Brent Malahe, who were very instrumental in leading us from the bank side in getting this done and in getting the guarantees. For those of us who don't understand what a guarantee is a fund that enables us to recoup losses in the unlikely event, in the most unlikely event that you're not able to pay your loan. So we have expanded our appetite. Our appetite for micro, small, medium enterprises was this much. And from the people you've seen we've hired, they can only work by lending. Our appetite is now going to that much. So we are looking forward to meeting you. I would like to thank all of you, distinguished ambassador, distinguished CAS and PS, distinguished chairman of the board and representatives of our shareholders, distinguished colleagues, members of all the delegations that are present this afternoon. Thank you so very much for coming to join us. You're now welcome. There being no other business, you're now welcome for a cup, some refreshment. Let's get to know one another, and let's get to interact, and let the message go out there that Equity has 400 billion to dispense through mobile, through branches for the next 5 years, because we have partners like Team Europe. God bless you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Equity Group Foundation, or EGF in short, is a not-for-profit foundation established in Kenya in 2008. It is the social arm of Equity Group Holdings PLC that operates in 6 countries in Eastern and Central Africa. The foundation seeks to transform the lives and livelihoods of the people of Africa through programs activated through 6 pillars. These are the education and leadership development, enterprise development and financial inclusion, food and agriculture, energy and environment, health, and social protection. So far, EGF has equipped more than 33 million people with economic opportunities, skills, tools, and technologies to prepare them for the future. Education and leadership development initiatives break the cycle of poverty and develop the next generation of leaders through increased access to secondary and tertiary education, impacting 26,304 students to date. Notably, EGF's Wings to Fly program admits bright scholars from needy backgrounds to transit to secondary school. The program has an over 96% secondary school completion, with 82% of scholars attaining university entry grades. Another signature initiative, the Equity Leaders Program, connects top-performing secondary school graduates to leadership training, coaching, and mentoring prior to proceeding to university. The program has 13,775 university scholars, 633 of whom are attending or are alumni of leading universities across the world. Under the Enterprise Development and Financial Inclusion pillar, EGF stimulates job creation and economic growth by providing micro, small and medium enterprises with advice and entrepreneurship training, and further improves financial capability and individual and household security by connecting people to expert financial education and access to financial services.
We are glad that our purpose distilled down to offering integrated financial services that socially and economically empower consumers, businesses, and communities have attracted the support of like-minded partners. I recognize the MasterCard Foundation for teaming with us to train 2.2 million bubbling young men and women to become entrepreneurs through a financial literacy program.
So far, 191,305 micro, small, and medium-sized business owners have been trained on entrepreneurship, with over 140,000 of the MSMEs have received 57.5 billion shillings under the Young Africa Works program, helping businesses to thrive. Through EGF's Food and Agriculture pillar, the program helps to create jobs, improve market access, and expand agricultural production by working in partnership with small and medium-sized farmers to increase their production capabilities and access technology and financial services. Under this pillar, 2 million small-scale farmers have transformed to farming as a business, while almost 40,000 small and medium-sized farmers have been supported to adopt modern methods of farming for increased yields. The focus of the Energy and Environment pillar is the conservation and smart use of natural resources by expanding forest cover, improving water security, and promoting the use of renewable energy and energy-efficient technologies. The pillar has impacted 780,000 households and businesses to access clean energy products, including solar panels for lighting and heating in homes, schools, and hotels. The pillar has encouraged installation of biodigesters for biogas for cooking and generating electricity to power on-farm activities. More than 240,000 households have embraced clean energy products, while 3.12 million trees have been planted to increase forest cover and conserve the environment. The health pillar provides access to comprehensive health financing and private sector-led, affordable, high-quality and standardized health services. So far, 33 Equity Afya franchise-owned medical clinics are operating in Kenya with more than 305,560 cumulative patient visits. Under the Social Protections Pillar, EGF has committed to reduce social and economic risk and vulnerability and alleviate extreme poverty and deprivation through cash transfers. It provides thousands of marginalized and vulnerable households living in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and South Sudan with social payments through cash transfers. The foundation is involved in 22 programs across East and Central Africa, serving 3.3 million persons. So far, 77.4 billion shillings has been disbursed via equity cash transfer infrastructure. This is but a glimpse of the activities of EGF in our pursuit of championing the socio-economic prosperity of the African people. We invite you to learn more and join us.